Chapter 1. Harper White, this area is your responsibility. Clean it within half an hour. The familiar voice rang in my ears, and for a moment, I was disoriented. It took a few seconds for the realization to hit me. I had been reborn. Back to an hour before I was harassed. In this life, I was once again being maliciously targeted by manager Harvey Smith. He assigned me to clean the busiest corridor in the entire mall, a task so overwhelming that finishing it in half an hour was outright impossible. In my previous life, I understood what he was doing. He was deliberately setting me up. I had argued with him fiercely, but that only made things worse. The inevitable outcome was that I was harassed by 4 drunken men, and then, as the manager, Harvey forced me to kneel and apologize to them. His cruelty pushed me to the brink, ultimately leading to my death from sheer rage. Even when my soul ascended, I never saw Harvey take me to the hospital. Instead, he kicked me while I was on the ground and sneered. "Stop pretending. Get up and apologize to these customers. These 4 are VIPs at this mall. How dare a lowly cleaner like you offend them?" Just remembering it now makes me tremble with anger. But I had a plan now. To make them all pay for what they did, I would have to endure, for a while. Once Harvey had finished his tirade and left, feeling smug and satisfied, I lifted my head, my eyes burning with a hatred so deep it could scorch the earth. Harvey had been targeting me for a while, ever since I refused to tutor his son for free. I had just completed my college entrance exams, and my results hadn't come in yet. A relative had helped me land this job as a cleaner at the mall, with the goal of earning tuition money. When Harvey found out I had decent grades, he immediately pressured me to tutor his 18-year-old son, who was still struggling in high school with a failing grade. I refused, and as revenge, Harvey sent his son to harass me. I gathered evidence and reported it to the police. From that moment on, Harvey had held a grudge against me and made every effort to make my life miserable. Now, with only 20 minutes left before the 4 drunk men would arrive, I quickly set up my phone in a concealed corner of the mall. As expected, the 4 men appeared right on time, reeking of alcohol and carrying bottles. Nearby women immediately avoided them, but the men, seeing the girls walk away, began leering and making crude comments. I gripped my mop, trying to steady my shaking hands. The thought of what was about to happen made my body tremble, but it wasn't fear, it was anticipation. The men, of course, mistook my nervousness for fear. They sneered and closed in, surrounding me with their massive frames. "Hey, pretty girl, all alone? Feeling lonely? How about you let us keep you company? You're too young and beautiful to be cleaning a mall. Come with us, and we'll show you a good time." Their filthy words made my stomach churn, but I didn't flinch. I stared at them coldly, which they took as a challenge. The biggest, most menacing-looking man lunged forward, reaching for me. Without hesitation, I delivered a powerful kick to a very sensitive spot and immediately collapsed onto the ground. It wasn't an act of weakness, it was a calculated move to gather evidence. As long as they made the first move, I had the right to defend myself. Furious at my defiance, the men didn't even care about the public setting anymore. They began unbuckling their belts. "Damn you, bitch. Acting all innocent when you're just a cheap woman. If we don't teach you a lesson today, we're not the Nelson brothers." Chapter 2. Before the humiliation could even begin, I stopped it in its tracks. To protect myself, I'd learned how to fight from a young age. These drunk men were no match for me. Just as I was about to land my 50th slap across their faces, Harvey arrived, belatedly. He wasted no time in accusing me of not knowing my place. "Harper, do you even know who you are? Do you know who they are? How dare a lowly cleaner like you lay a hand on our mall's VIP customers? Are you trying to rebel?" Harvey quickly had his men help the drunk men to their feet, profusely apologizing, only to be slapped away by one of them. "Who do you think you are, apologizing to me? I want her to apologize, or this won't end well." Their glares turned colder, their anger swelling as they focused on me. The Nelson brothers were fuming, their blood still staining their mouths as they barked commands at Harvey. As expected, Harvey, ever the loyal lackey, caught on to their unspoken threats and was delighted by the opportunity. "Harper, did you hear that? They want you to apologize. You've caused them so much trouble. A simple apology won't be enough. You need to kneel and beg for forgiveness. Let me make this clear, if you manage to get their forgiveness right now, I might be able to help you. But if not, you're on your own." Harvey couldn't hide his pleasure. He'd been waiting for a chance like this to humiliate me publicly, but I'd always been too cautious, until now, when I'd unwittingly given him the perfect opportunity. By now, a crowd had gathered, and whispers spread like wildfire. "Is this the live stream? Those men harassed her first. Why should she kneel and apologize? This manager is ridiculous, always siding with the dissatisfied customers and bullying the staff. He's pathetic. I've already called the police. Let's see what they'll do when the authorities arrive." Harvey, not liking the growing attention, tried to hurry things along. When I didn't respond to his orders, he stepped forward, ready to force me to kneel. He was so close now that I could feel his presence looming over me. Without a second thought, I slapped him across the face. The satisfaction that surged through me as I saw his face twist in shock and pain was indescribable. "I'm just defending myself. Why should I apologize? They were the ones who harassed me first. As a manager, you should have at least tried to understand what really happened, instead of immediately blaming your staff. Honestly, I wonder if you got your position by kneeling. It sure seems like you expect everyone else to do it." Harvey lost it. He was jumping up and down, his face turning red with rage. "How dare you speak to me like that? I'll fire you on the spot. Let me make something clear, in this mall, when the higher-ups aren't around, I'm in charge. You've offended our VIPs today, and I will make you kneel. You're not getting up until they've forgiven you." The four drunk men, still half inebriated, quickly forgot about the beating I had just given them. When they saw me, their eyes lit up in excitement. "Feisty little thing, I like it. Come home with us." It wasn't just me. Other girls around the mall were being harassed too. The whole place was suffused with a sickening atmosphere. But Harvey, the so-called manager, didn't care. His only concern was whether or not I'd be publicly humiliated. He motioned for other employees to step forward, pushing me harder, insisting that I kneel. "You're just a cleaner. I can make you do whatever I want." Just when I was on the brink of breaking under the pressure, a distant voice rang out. "Stop right there." Chapter 3. The police and the mall owner arrived just in time, quickly taking control of the situation. The drunken men, still defiant, didn't stop even in the face of the police's arrival. In fact, they continued to rant loudly. "What's the big deal with the police? I've spent millions here, and they should treat me with respect." The mall owner's forehead broke into a sweat. He was clearly desperate to shut them up, but all he could do was force a smile. Harvey, looking guilty, shuffled toward him and muttered under his breath. "Uncle." "Shut up," the owner snapped, glaring at him. Then, to my surprise, he shielded Harvey with his body. No wonder Harvey had been so bold. In my past life, even after causing a death, he remained calm. It all made sense now. This mall was owned by his relative, and he had the backing to act with impunity. From the way the owner was behaving, it was clear he had no intention of seeking justice for me. I stared at him coldly, and he returned my gaze with equal venom. "Stop looking at me like that. I'll fire you on the spot." His words were too quiet for the crowd to hear, all attention still on the drunk men. With the police's help, the men had sobered up, but they still refused to admit any fault. Instead, they accused me of overreacting. It was just a joke. How was I supposed to know she couldn't take it? If she had said something, we wouldn't have bothered her. She's just a cleaner. "Doesn't she know how hard it is to make money?" one of them said dismissively. Yeah. Forget it. Since the police are here, we'll let it go." We won't press charges for her hitting us, but the police call? Let's just forget it, another chimed in. Everyone, go on, disperse. There's nothing to see here. The four men tried to shoo the crowd away, thinking their words would smooth things over. But they hadn't realized that their actions had already stirred up public anger. What they didn't know was that I had been live streaming since they first entered the mall, documenting their harassment of multiple girls. A woman stepped forward, placing herself between me and the men. Without hesitation, she began scolding them. You think you can just walk away? Do you think the police station is your personal playground? You can't come and go as you please. You four harassed that girl. I saw it with my own eyes. Now you want to deny it? Dream on. If this isn't sorted out, nobody's going anywhere. Her words were met with cheers from the surrounding women. I felt a warmth in my chest from their support, but the men weren't backing down. They kept spouting their nonsense. You ungrateful little brat. We haven't even pressed charges for her slapping us, and now she wants to call the police, one of them yelled. A young girl working as a cleaner, she must be selling herself. What else could she do? If you want to call the police, what do you want? Name your price. I'll pay you off. At those words, the men in the mall started eyeing me differently. Harvey, eager to seize the moment, began to slander me further. I see now why she wanted to call the police. She was just waiting for this. That's right. These customers are VIPs. What could a cleaner like her possibly make? He sneered, laughing as though it was all some joke at my expense. But I wasn't stupid, even if I was young. They were slandering my reputation and trying to buy my silence just to avoid trouble for themselves. I had grown up alone and wasn't afraid of trouble. The woman who had been holding my hand was trembling with anger, her eyes brimming with sympathy for me. I gently patted her hand to reassure her. Then, within a split second, I burst into tears. I'm not like that. I didn't do it. I cried, wiping my eyes. They harassed me first. I was just defending myself. The video is the evidence. I added, pointing to my phone. People who had been watching the live stream were speaking out in my defense, but the men still denied everything. They even accused me of trying to scam them. Seduce them? They looked like chewed up pumpkins. I was furious, but forced myself to stay calm. At that moment, it hit me, men really stick together. In the whole mall, it was only the women who were speaking up for me, and many of them were crying in anger at the injustice. Harvey shot me a smug, challenging look. I was sure he thought he was winning. The scene grew more chaotic, and the police couldn't come to a conclusion. The four men demanded to leave, claiming I was wasting their time. In an instant, I made my move. I pressed my hand to my chest and collapsed. I had suffered a heart attack before, and I knew how to fake it perfectly. Everyone panicked, rushing to call an ambulance. The Nelson brothers were in a frenzy. It wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it, one of them exclaimed. Harvey's face turned ashen. He glanced at me, and I gave him the finger in return. Chapter 4. I did have a heart condition, but it wasn't serious. As long as I didn't get as angry as I did in my past life, I wouldn't die. However, in front of everyone, I fainted from the anger, and after a hospital examination, it was confirmed that I had a heart condition. This earned me the sympathy of everyone around me. The doctor, after hearing the reason I came to the ER, was filled with pity and gave the men a stern look. She needs to be properly cared for. How could you make her so angry? The doctor scolded them. But the men were still defiant. How was I supposed to know she had a heart condition? If she had one, she should have said something. I think she's just trying to scam us, one of them retorted. The doctor's face darkened, and without hesitation, he called the police. If they stay near the patient any longer, she might not survive. It's up to you what happens next. The police, having seen the live stream footage and witnessed the men's provocation that led to my collapse, immediately took action. They arrested them on the spot. Only then did the Nelson brothers realize the gravity of the situation. "Miss, don't be so heartless. We were just momentarily foolish," one of them pleaded. "Let's settle this privately." "Name your price," another suggested, trying to buy my silence. They even wanted me to post a statement online. "Just say you fainted on your own and that it had nothing to do with us. Our company is getting criticized because of you. You need to clear this up," one of them demanded. That's when I realized how far this had spread online. The public outcry had exposed the Nelson brothers, even reaching their parents. People were questioning how such scoundrels were raised, and the company's products were bombarded with negative reviews. Nelson received a call from his parents, and the expression in his eyes turned from disdain to something darker, a mix of anger and fear. "When did you start live streaming? We didn't even notice. Are you trying to ruin us?" he snarled. With the police still present, the men continued to be reckless. I hid behind the police officers, pretending to be terrified. "Officer, I'm scared. Please take them away," I cried out. Nelson went berserk, causing a scene in the hospital, demanding that I explain myself. He raged and cursed my ancestors, but the police didn't let up. The doctor, seeing my distress, offered me comfort. "If you need help with anything, just let us know. We'll do everything we can to support you," the doctor said sincerely. Grateful for the support, I made a request. "Could you help me find a lawyer? I want to sue them, but I don't know where to start," I asked. The doctor immediately agreed, assuring me that it was no problem. Within no time, they had found a lawyer and helped me draft the lawsuit. The Nelson brothers, due to the social impact of their actions, would be detained in the police station for at least a month. As more and more women came to my hospital room to show their support, I realized just how widely the incident had spread. Feeling empowered, I took another step. Using my real name, I reported Harvey for neglecting his duty as a manager and for firing me without cause. The very next day, Harvey came to see me. He brought a huge bag of things and was followed by reporters, clearly trying to salvage his reputation. Chapter 5. The first thing he did was feign a sincere apology. "Harper, it was our mall's mistake that caused you so much distress. On behalf of the mall, I apologize." He continued, "This is a small gift from us. I hope you'll forgive us. You don't know, ever since your injury, our mall's foot traffic has been halved. I don't know if your injury has cursed us, but we've been incredibly unlucky." I knew Harvey wasn't apologizing out of sincerity. He was being passive-aggressive, especially with the reporters there. But I didn't fall for it. I shrank back into the corner, giving off an innocent, vulnerable appearance. "Harvey, I don't really understand what you're saying. I just want to ask if you can settle my wages? I work here to pay for my tuition. Without that, I can't continue my studies." Harvey didn't see through my act. He thought I was simply begging for money. He scoffed, sneering as he threw $200 at my face. "If you're so obsessed with money, why did you cause trouble with the customers? If you'd just stepped back, you'd have money and wouldn't have dragged us into all this trouble." Harvey mocked me in front of the camera, looking at me with disdain. I don't understand why a high school student, after the exams, chooses to work as a cleaner. What kind of family raised you? No wonder things went wrong. Money isn't guilty, so I took the $200 and slipped it into my pocket. Looking at Harvey, I let my eyes fill with tears. I'm an orphan with no parents. I work as a cleaner just to earn money for my tuition. I don't understand why the manager targets me like this. Plus, $200 is nowhere near my full wages. The mall hasn't even compensated me for the emotional distress. I had refused the Nelson brothers money because they needed to face the consequences and go to jail. But I wouldn't let Harvey and his uncle's mall off so easily. I was working well until all this trouble got in the way, throwing my life off course and pushing me into the spotlight. I couldn't stand the thought of Harvey, the real culprit, getting away unpunished, so I made sure to say things that would infuriate him. And sure enough, Harvey lost his temper. He pointed at me, yelling, "Who do you think you are, demanding compensation? We didn't charge you for the lost revenue, and you dare ask for money. Those customers were right, you're shameless. If you wanted money, you should have gone and sold yourself instead of working as a cleaner. I work as a cleaner because it's an honest job. How did you turn it into something sordid? I want my wages, and I demand compensation. If the mall hadn't allowed those drunk men in and taken their side, I wouldn't be in this situation. I'm going to get justice." In his fury, Harvey threw a fruit basket at my bed. His unstable emotions made me wonder if he had some kind of superhuman gene. He cursed at me and even tried to strike me, but the security guards arrived just in time to remove him. I quickly put my phone back in my pocket, where it had been recording the entire interaction. Harvey had brought a camera, but I wasn't sure whether it was live. To cover my bases, I recorded my own version as a backup. It turned out to be a lifesaver. Chapter 6. The college entrance exam results were about to be released, and the doctors were very concerned. They comforted me, saying it didn't matter if I didn't do well. They would help me. I had already checked my answers and smiled. It wasn't about doing well, but about giving everyone a big surprise. Suddenly, my attending doctor came in, looking grim. He held his phone. "Harper, there are a lot of negative comments about you online." The phone showed Harvey's edited video, cutting out all incriminating parts and leaving only my demands for wages and compensation. He added filters and dubbed my voice, turning me from a victim into a scheming girl. Harvey appeared at the end, pleading for mercy, saying he was willing to compensate if I let them go. "Miss Harper, it's all my fault. I just wanted to teach you a lesson, to show you the right way to live. I didn't expect you to twist the truth and cause our mall so much trouble. I have no choice but to show everyone the truth." He accused me of twisting the truth, but he was the one fabricating lies. The doctors were furious, wanting to speak out for me online. I stopped them. If we wanted to catch everyone, we had to let them fall into the trap. I hired someone to spread the news of my supposed downfall to the Nelson brothers in jail. Sure enough, the next day, Harvey visited the jail. Nelson must have promised him something, as he looked even more smug. He even brought another fruit basket to the hospital. "Harper, if you had listened to them and taken the money, none of this would have happened." He left the fruit basket and walked away, grinning. "I'll make you pay for crossing me." That night, someone claiming to be my classmate started spreading rumors online. He said I didn't study and only knew how to seduce boys. He spoke confidently. I was seduced by her. I was the top student, but because of her, I failed the college entrance exam and had to repeat. Some doubted the identity of the whistleblower, but to frame me, they found someone from my school. He showed his student ID, Marcus Smith. Wasn't he Harvey's idiot son? No wonder Harvey was so confident. His son was my junior. 18 and still in high school, forced into our school. Seeing them celebrate online, I laughed coldly. Let them enjoy it for now. When my exam results come out, I'll deal with them. Chapter 7. Online rumors grew, fueled by Harvey's hired trolls. Even those who spoke for me were drowned out. The doctors were indignant, but I comforted them. It's okay. The truth will come out. Besides, I've gained something. Because of my pitiful image, many people reached out to help. I played the victim, asking how to bring down a company. They told me the easiest way was to report fire safety violations. A mall's lifeline is its foot traffic. If you report fire safety issues, they'll have to shut down for 3 months. By then, no one will remember them. I nodded, understanding. I remembered seeing the mall's escape routes blocked with clutter. I initially wanted Harvey to lose his job, but now, seeing how they treated me, I decided to be ruthless. I was labeled a scammer, and men spat at me on the street. Harvey even sent me a bill. "We owe you for the damage caused by your false accusations." but now, we can't tolerate your behavior any longer. $50,000 is already a reduced amount. If you don't pay, we'll sue you." Shameless and despicable. Clutching my slightly aching heart, I felt suffocated by their audacity. $50,000, an amount the mall couldn't earn in a few days, and they wanted me to pay it. Harvey's shamelessness was shocking, but his uncle was no better. Allowing him to act so recklessly only showed they were cut from the same cloth. Since they were so ruthless, I wouldn't hold back either. I was discharged from the hospital, and the doctors were reluctant to see me go. As soon as I stepped out of the hospital, Marcus Smith blocked my way. He grinned lewdly, his eyes roving over me. "Harper White, weren't you so high and mighty before, calling me trash? How does it feel to be a public disgrace now? Not so good, huh? Beg me, and I might consider asking my dad to go easy on you. After all, you know I like you." He reached out to touch my face, and I coldly laughed. "Who do you think you are, daring to threaten me?" Marcus, enraged by my mockery, lunged at me. I sidestepped, and he fell heavily to the ground. Undeterred, he tried again, only to be kicked away by me. Realizing he couldn't catch me, he started shouting, "Harper, even if you beg me, it's useless. You ruined my life, and I'll never forgive you. You bitch, you destroyed my future, and now you want my dad to forgive you? Dream on." His shouting attracted a crowd. Before they could gather, I tore my collar and lay on the ground. "Help! He's trying to assault me." Chapter 8. Marcus had chosen a spot without surveillance to confront me, making it easier for me to retaliate. Hearing my cries, the crowd rushed over, surrounding me protectively. "Are you okay, young lady?" I cried hysterically, my body covered in self-inflicted scratches. "Please help me." He tried to assault me. Marcus, still on the ground, clutching his injuries, turned pale at my words. "You're lying. You're framing me." I was indeed framing him, but no one believed his protests. After all, I was a frail girl, and he looked greasy and overweight. Kind bystanders wanted to call the police, but Marcus desperately tried to stop them. If he got arrested again, he'd face severe consequences at school. And it seemed he hadn't told Harvey about this confrontation. I watched coldly as he begged me not to call the police. "Harper, I can help you. Just don't call the police. I'll ask my dad to drop the charges." "Why should I believe you? That's $50,000. I trust Harvey more to demand it." Seeing me take out my phone, Marcus panicked. "Why don't you believe me? My dad begged me to lie about you. He promised me $1,000 if I did." I hadn't expected this bonus information. I let him go, and he couldn't believe it. "You're really letting me go? You're not tricking me?" No wonder he was still in high school at 18. He hadn't realized he had revealed a huge secret. I waved him off, and he leaned in close. "Harper, I'll remember this. If you ever change your mind, I'm willing." His face made me nauseous. "If you don't leave now, I'll call the police." Back home, I finally felt safe. My parents had passed away early, leaving me only this house. Even this house had been wrested from greedy relatives. Thinking about my past struggles, I was more determined to make Harvey pay. He had disrupted my hard-earned peace with a few words. I wouldn't rest until he faced justice. The college entrance exam results would be released tomorrow. I just needed to wait for that moment to strike. The next morning at 8, my homeroom teacher's excited call woke me. "Harper, do you know your score? 700. You scored 700. You can choose any top university." I quickly checked my results, tears of joy streaming down my face at my top 50 ranking. For the first time, I felt my efforts were real and validated. Wiping my tears, I made a request to my teacher. "Mr. Spencer, can you help me with something? Marcus Smith, a high school repeater, falsely accused me of seducing him and ruining his grades. I need you to help clear my name." Hearing my story, Mr. Spencer was furious. Even over the phone, I could feel his anger. How dare they bully my student? Harper, don't worry. I'll make sure everyone knows the truth. Our school won't tolerate such slander. I'll speak to the principal right away. While Mr. Spencer was busy, I didn't sit idle. I posted my exam results online with a statement. Harvey's accusations are baseless. He claimed I had poor grades, but I scored in the top 50 in the province. As for the boy who accused me, Marcus Smith, he's an 18-year-old high school repeater. Why would I seduce him? He said I was after money, but his video is edited. I have my own recording as proof. Chapter 9. My brief statement made Harvey's phone ring off the hook. He called to threaten and beg me to delete the video. I ignored his calls and turned off my phone. Harvey's online ranting only made things worse. Netizens weren't blind. With my evidence, they quickly saw the truth. Angry netizens tagged the mall's official account, demanding an explanation. Your employee lied repeatedly. Do you think we're fools? Such a big incident, and you haven't fired him? Are you waiting for us to fire you? This backlash cost Harvey his job. Mr. Spencer also brought good news. Harper, the principal is proud of your achievements. He said we won't let you down. Marcus Smith will be expelled. I rushed to school, just in time to see Harvey causing a scene. I paid $50,000 to get my son into this school. How can you expel him? What did he do wrong? The principal looked confused. $50,000? Our school never received such money. Marcus's homeroom teacher wiped his sweat nervously, and the principal realized the truth. He was more determined to expel Marcus. Harvey wouldn't give up, even attacking the principal. The school security couldn't stop him until the police arrived and took him away. As he was let out, he cursed the principal, claiming his son was a genius who just needed a good teacher. Seeing the principal's bruised face and vengeful look, I knew Harvey was finished. Harvey cared most about Marcus. Losing his job didn't make him this crazy. Marcus's expulsion was certain. With his father's reputation, no school would accept him. He faced a future with only a middle school diploma. I needed to add fuel to the fire. Reporting the mall's fire safety violations worked surprisingly well. Harvey's recent notoriety made it easy. The mall owner called, offering to cover all my tuition if I withdrew the complaint. But sir, I'm going to a top university with free tuition. I don't need your help. What do you want then? $50,000? I'll give you $50,000. Money was my due compensation. You can give me as much money as you want. It's my right. But you, as a mall owner, promoted your relative to manager and let him bully employees. What kind of boss are you? Harper White, don't be so arrogant. Shut up. You can't threaten me. You're just a boss. What can you do to me? Instead of worrying about me, you should prepare for the fire inspection. Hanging up, I felt elated. Mr. Spencer informed me that Marcus had been caught sneaking into the girls' dormitory, intending to commit a crime. The security guards caught him. The girls' parents refused to settle, insisting on pressing charges. Now, Harvey and Marcus were both in police custody. I provided evidence that Harvey's defamatory video was funded by the Nelson brothers. The police took this seriously, promising justice. As a result, the Nelson brothers' jail time increased from 1 month to 6 months. By the time they were released, I was studying law at a top university. The mall went bankrupt, and the owner faced financial ruin. Using my legal knowledge, I delivered a final blow and recovered my wages.